Greetings, I'm the one called Horror Show, and welcome to VG Therapy, the channel where I talk about games. In the 90s, there was a whole mass of mascot platformers, due in part to the fact that almost everyone and their mums was developing at least one. And this was due in part to the influences of Mario, mostly because he defined the platforming genre, and he was a mascot for Nintendo and gaming as a whole. But the main offender, the thing that kicked off all those mascot platformers, was Sonic the Hedgehog. Because he just won everyone over, and he had that attitude that everyone loved. So everyone tried to copy it. And the problem with that was the fact that they weren't Sonic and Mario. So they just didn't survive. And then you throw on the top of that the fact that some of them were games like Bubsy and Bubsy. I mean, I don't really need to say any more than that. And also because, well, most of them faded into obscurity, so I'm having trouble remembering some of them. And there were some that kind of faded into relative obscurity, and they really didn't. Kind of like Rocket Knight Adventures for the Sega Mega Drive. A game that was much better than it should have been at that time, and has, relatively speaking of course, not gotten the attention that it deserved.
The game was developed by Konami before the Troubles, and directed by Nobuya Nakazato, who worked on multiple Contra games, or Probotector as they're known over here, and he also worked as a designer on Symphony of the Night. So even with just this one man, there is a lot of promise. And that promise was delivered on the 6th of August 1993 in Japan, 3rd of September in 1993 in America, and sometime in 1993 for PAL, most likely after the American release.
Now when I said that it didn't get the attention it deserved, that doesn't mean it got no attention. Because at the time, it got a lot of great reviews. It was critically well liked. It was critically loved. And the year afterwards, it got 2 separate sequels. Both of which, again, were critically well liked. And then it got a release in 2010. There was a sequel released in 2010. From 94 to 2010, there was nothing. Like, that's 16 years where there was like, oh yeah, let's not do anything with this title because who cares? And the title that came out in 2010 was really well liked again, and from my understanding, from what I've been looking at, it did really well as well, or did okay at the very least. And that was as a digital only title as well. And now we're at a point in time where I know the chances of getting anything else Rocket Knight is slim to none. Because it's Konami. But at the same time, you might be thinking, well, what was it that this game did that made it so well liked, but also wanted to be forgotten by its developers? The latter I have no idea, but the former I can tell you about.
The game, as I said, is a mascot platformer, a platformer where you play as an animal character, and this animal character is an opossum Rocket Knight.
I don't know enough about opossum to make a joke about opossums. But I do know that Rocket Knights are rad. I mean, he's a knight with a jetpack. What else do you need?
You can charge up your jetpack and shoot off in any direction, sword first or spin on the spot and do a lot of damage. You can always just swing your sword if you don't want to attack your enemies like that. Your sword shoots out a sonic boom each time you swing, and your sword can also hit things. You might think that something like that would be obvious, but if your sword hits something directly, it does a lot more damage than anything else you can do, which can come in handy with certain bosses where if you position yourself correctly, you can beat them in no time flat. And I, for one, really do appreciate the risk versus reward mechanic this has. You can do massive damage, but you're putting your face into something deadly. The game also does have a few other modes of play. There are like 2 or 3 water and sky levels where you spend a lot of time swimming and getting used to those physics, and the sky levels are just horizontal shooters.
Like, yeah, there's not much more to it than that. I mean, the land and the water levels, yeah, they feel like Rocket Knight Adventures. They feel like their own game. The sky levels, however, just feel very generic, you know?
There are a few more gimmicks that are employed to shake things up, like the boss fight where you're being sucked out the side of a spaceship, or where you pilot a mech and box another mech, and the parts of levels where you're just hanging off of branches are always fun, even if you're treated to a cute animal giving the 1,000-yard stare whenever you stop, which goes to show how great the presentation in this game is. Characters are expressive, the visuals are great, and everything about this game tells me that if I go to YouTube, I can find all 6 episodes of the cartoon uploaded there.
There isn't one, by the way. I checked.
The game looks great and you are adorable. Even the music is great, which is to be expected. The music team consists of Akihara, Michiru Yamane, and Akira God damn Yamaoka. They couldn't fail and they didn't. You've been hearing the music all throughout this review, and god damn it is it good. Everything about this game's presentation is great. Everything you see and hear and feel is great. But what about the things you read?
Such as the manual, because the game's not going to give you much to work with. All you need to know is that your enemies are pigs, there's a weapon called the Pig Star, and your rival is called Axel Gear. Outside of that, the rest of it is just fluff and lore, which is generally appreciated, but you don't really need it. I mean, it's Rocket Knight Adventures, a very lighthearted and cartoony game. I don't see Soulsborne anywhere in that title. And jokes aside, none of this is portrayed at all in the game. All you need to know going in the game is that you need to rescue the princess. Everything else is not ever brought up. Not even mentioned. And so it's just kind of like, where was all this going? I mean, if there was a show or something like that, I could understand. But just for this one game, it doesn't really go anywhere. And, yeah, I mean, it even gives you details about characters that you don't really need to know. I mean, sure, knowing that your character is named Sparkster is helpful, but the front of the box says that. Knowing that he's a war orphan does nothing. I mean, you just kind of look at that and just go, what? Look at this cartoony and child-friendly game. Why are they talking about war orphans?
But they do try to get you interested in the story by having a final stage and ending locked behind hard mode, making you beat the game twice if you wanted it easy, which having the ending locked behind a difficulty screen would make you think that the ending was important.
But whatever, the game is great. From how it feels to looks to sounds to everything. And even though it has Contra Blood in it, I really didn't have too much of a hard time with it. But yeah, I didn't actually try the mode where you take one hit, then game over, and you have to start from the start of the game. But that's not really something you need to do. The rest of the game is not that strenuous, at least for me it wasn't. And yeah, I mean, it's just really fun. So if you have a Mega Drive or you have a way to play Mega Drive games, I highly recommend picking this up. And as a result, I give this game a 4 out of 4, a high recommendation. And with that, I've been Horror Show, and this is VG Therapy.